I'm Leigh Brown. This is crazy shit in real estate. And I'm just going to tell you in advance, I got very, very effervescent and overexcited during this episode because Rachel Adams Leigh is with us, and you're probably going to feel all the energy come through the screen. So get your notebook and pen out to take some notes. You're really going to enjoy this, and I'll see you on the other side. There you are. Your lighting keeps changing. What is your backdrop that makes the light move?
So this is it's like a particle. I don't know. It's so cool. It's like an acoustic board for recording. It's really.
Nuh-uh.
I have 3 walls for recording. I have that one, this one, and then this really pretty tile over there.
That is very pretty, but I'm totally digging the one behind. That's acoustic?
Thank you. Yeah, it's super legit. I can send you the link. It's like this. I saw it on Pinterest and I was like, I need you. I just bought it. I just redid my house and bought a house, which is no realtor should ever buy and sell a home themselves.
Can
Man,
we just discuss how true that is?
I know.
You
My
are the
husband was like, I love you so much and I would never hire you. And I was like, damn it. I'm like a really good realtor, but when I sell my own home, I'm like a psycho. You'll have to ask me about it. It was ridiculous.
Well, I can because we're recording. I always just start my conversations. We just
love
edit
it.
it because I totally am feeling you on that. I told somebody the other day, they're like, well, why wouldn't you? You save your money. I'm like, you don't understand. I take everything so personally. I'm like, how
Yeah.
dare you not
Listen in it.
this and this?
I know. It was so funny because I'm like, you know how, so in California, you have to have signs if you're recording. I don't know if that's everywhere. And so I had signs out that I was recording, and I am literally the person I would go to, whenever there's a showing, I'd go to my mother-in-law's house. We'd have a glass of wine and we watch people just talk crap about my house. And she was like, I think the bedrooms are small. I'm like, well, your face is small, like in my head, right? I'm just like, but I mean, it was quite the experience. And I mean, it was just crazy because I wasn't planning on buying and selling, but my dream house was posted off market and we're on vacation in Tahoe. And I text my husband, I'm like, hey, like, this is our house. And he's like, this is a very nice house for someone else. You're a year and a half too early. And I was like, I know. Do you want to look at it? And he's like, yes. So thank God I'm a psychopath and I have marketing photos taken when I buy a home every time I get it done. So like, just in case. So we were ready to rock.
Did he know he had no chance in arguing with you? Was this just like performative that he said we're
This
not
is
looking at
like, he knows he married 100%. Yeah, no, this is no surprise for him. He's like this lovely, calm flowing river, and I'm like a tornado in the corner, but we're a good balance because like, I'm like, we're going to go here, we're going to do this. He's like, we're going to put on a spreadsheet and talk about realistically what makes sense for our family.
I feel like we're living parallel lives because my husband refers to me as a whirlwind. He's like, I'm married to a whirlwind.
Mhm. I get the tornado emoji all the time.
How many years have you been married?
We've been married 7 and then together like 9. We met on Tinder. Swipe right.
For real? Like, I didn't think that was actually for relationships, and I have to hear about it because I'm an old person who dated
Right.
when I met
It's
him.
not just for hookups, my friend.
How about that? Well, I don't need to know that because I'm still married to my first husband, which is the joke he hates the most, and I find
Uh-huh.
to be the most hilarious. But when it comes to real estate decisions, he knows now if it's a DocuSign, he's supposed to just sign it because this one time, and I have to mention this because it's going to make him angry when he walks across the backside of my camera there because he's working from home today.
Yeah.
I wanted to buy a real estate deal that was on the market. It was an entire city block of houses near the jail in Gaston County, which is just south of where I am. And it was a block of houses. It was 40 houses for $375,000. Now, this was like 15 years ago.
So it was free. They were paying you to take the houses.
Basically, I mean, because everybody there was a renter. They're all paying cash in brown paper bags. But it's like I told my husband, the jail's right over here. You have tenants in and out. It was a great deal. It was the only time he ever put his foot down on a real estate investment. He's like, absolutely not. We're not buying a block of houses in Gastonia near the jail. And to this day, I bring it up. I know I'm not supposed to. And he actually quotes scripture at me. And I've gotten kind of irritated about that because he's like, what happened in Sodom and Gomorrah? You're not supposed to look back. I'm like, you need to stop with the scriptural reminders because I'm supposed to nag you. Great investment. So we don't fight about it. I just have to remind him all the time. So I love hearing that you have a similar real estate setup in your.
And what's interesting is, so my husband, he's actually a mechanical engineer and he did that for 17 years. And he was like super successful. But then he met me and like we were dating and I was speaking and stuff all over the country for real estate and social media. And he was like, that's fun. Like, so you don't have to, no one's waiting for you to show up. I'm like, I don't have a 9 to 5. Like I'm the boss. And he was like, well, that's fun. And so it just planted this seed for us of like, what would life need to look like for us to be able to make some strategic choices so that we could do it together. And so we were actually on our honeymoon, and I wanted to stay longer, and he had to get back to work. And that made us like the kicker where he was like, what do we need to do? And it was funny because everyone I dated before him was like, I want a strong, independent woman. And then they'd meet me like, maybe not that strong, maybe not that independent. And
That one,
and he was like, I love what you're doing. And how can we make it even better? And I was like, I'm going to marry you, buddy. 100%.
right? Catch
Yeah.
that one. All
Uh-huh.
right. So, we totally forgot to introduce you, except that you're in
Oh,
California.
hi.
So why don't you tell the audience who you are, where you're located. They now know how long you've been married, but how long
Oh,
have you been in and around real estate? And then we'll talk about the social media side too.
yeah. Okay. So, hi. Thanks for having me. Okay. So my name's Rachel Adams Leigh. I'm in Northern California. I got in real estate in 2012. So my grandma was a realtor. My daddy was a realtor. I said I would never, ever go into the business. But I also think that was because like back when I was a kid, and I just turned 40. P.S. I'm a 40-year-old woman, and I'm pregnant right now.
Welcome to the beginning of your no filter age. When you cross the 50 barrier, by the way, the rest of your filter will vanish. So you're so close.
I'm excited about that, honestly, because I feel like every year I pick something I work on. 2 years ago, it was to stop people pleasing. Last year, it was to stop comparison. Maybe this year, it's to just like not gonna give an F what like anyone says or thinks. Like, we'll go with that, right?
Go
Yeah.
for it.
Okay. So yeah, so I got into real estate in 2012. And I was in a really unhealthy marriage at that point. I was paycheck behind a paycheck. My ex-husband was 80% disabled, 50% was PTSD from the Marine Corps. So I spent my days at this real estate office, unlicensed, telling agents like, you're gonna get your offer accepted, like you got this. And I spent my nights like crying myself to sleep. So it was a really like dark kind of season. But I knew there was more to life. And like, so I heard this quote that pretty much rocked my world, and it was change the way you look at things, and the things you look at change. Like change the way you look at things, and the things you look at change. So I was always like, okay, well, I can't quit my job at Safe. I knew how much money was coming in, which at the time was like 2012, so it was like $15, but it was $15 an hour I could count on. What I'd never done was like count on me. And so I know. So
Yeah,
I
good. Hey, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Let me record that for a little outtake, and I don't have to
all
wait on
right.
my editors because, girl, that was
Okay.
fire. All right. Say that again.
Say the for what part? The first part?
The good part. You can say both of them, and then I'll clip out the part I didn't want.
Okay, deal. I love it. You're so me. I'm like, let's do it again. And this is our clip. Okay, so let's see. All right. So I'd always been, are you ready? Are you
I
ready?
put it below the line there because, we
Oh,
try to
smart.
stuff.
No one sees what we're doing. We're secret. Um, okay, so all right. So I'm in this full-time job, and I'm salary based. And so it was $15 an hour, but it was $15 an hour that I could count on. What I realized is I never counted on me. And so I decided that I was going to jump into real estate and go literally both feet. So my first year, I'm knocking 200 doors every week, doing 3 open houses every freaking week. Knocking 200 doors, doing 3 open houses, and I didn't sell any houses for 4 months. So in that time, I cried a lot. I drank a ton of wine. I questioned my life choices, as anybody would. But the thing that kept me going was like why I was doing it. I was doing it to change my life. I made my why bigger than any excuse I could come up with. And I sold 39 houses the first year, which was like bananas. And then 109, then 123. So 3 years in, I hit Wall Street's top 1,000 agents in the country. Still part of that crew today. And holy cannoli, it's been a wild freaking ride. I'm 13 years into this business. I got a divorce. Spent 3 years on like personal growth journey. I have a team. I've had a huge team. I've had small team. I realized I'd rather be small and profitable versus big and broke, just for the sake of looking big. Let's see. I married my freaking soulmate. He's so hot too. If you look him up on Instagram, you'd be like, dang, you're lucky. I'm like, He's Silver Fox. He's
By
just
the
like,
way, we don't condone that behavior on crazy shit in real estate. Do not go ogle somebody else's husband. Can we just lay that out there? What are you doing, girl? Don't put my
uh,
husband in the near occasion of sin.
I know, for real. What else? I coach people all over the world now. It's so cool on how to build a business through social media. I literally feel so I get over 100 referrals every year through social media, and I feel like I built this business, like I built $1 million business with dry shampoo because I'm so committed to just like being authentically who I am, which is like a messy, silly, fun, transparent working mama. And so like I've got 3 kids. I have Henry, Harrison, and Hayden, 5, 3, and 2, and I'm currently pregnant with my 4th right now. So life's bananas and beautiful.
And how old are your kids?
5,
As
3,
of recording
2.
of this episode.
Yeah, 5, 3, and 2. And then 16 weeks.
I am so excited for you. They're all gonna have a friend because when you
I
have even
know.
numbers, they have a friend, 1 and 3 and 2 and 4.
Yep, I know. I'm excited, and they're all boys. So, and I'm sure this is gonna be a boy, but we'll see.
I mean, that's just called, economies of scale, honey. That's
I
economies of scale. Except that boy clothes are harder to pass down because they tend to wear holes in their riches.
You're not wrong. Yeah, you're not wrong. And mine are, like, not easy on it either, so and I was raised, like, kind of like, so I come from a big Jewish family, and I was, like, in the kitchen learning to cook. My brothers were encouraged to be outside and, like, get messy, and so it's really I work on it to, like, "Okay, you can go outside and, like, get your clothes dirty," and so I try really hard not to be a helicopter mom and, like, let them experience life, but I also wanna, like, duct tape them to a chair and just keep them safe.
Okay, so were you watching the inauguration on Monday, January 20th,
Yeah,
when JD Vance was sworn in?
yeah.
Were you like every other mother? Because 'Cause I'm not the only one my text blew up with, "Look at the Band-Aids," on his
I
daughter. His
know.
daughter was sucking her thumb, and she had these Band-Aids. So
Uh-huh.
you talk about letting your kids play outside, and I was
Yeah,
just like, that is such a connective fiber
I
across
know.
political spectrums, and there's that's a great uniter of women
Yeah,
who had a kid. Band-Aids solve the world's problems,
they
and we
do.
if your boys are outside playing, they're gonna need a Band-Aid, and that's a good
I
thing.
know. That's what everyone says to me whenever they see bruises on their knees, they're like, "You're a good mama." I'm like, "Never thought this would be the way this would be looked at, but thank you."
Yeah, but, if you go to the doctor and they don't have any bruises, the doctors have a lot of questions. They actually
Totally.
see kids that are
They
normal
for it.
and
Yeah,
falling around, but we see it in real estate because if you're in a house with little people from 3 feet down, there's fingerprints on the walls because little
uh-huh,
people are all blind and with
totally.
a house like this, and
Bite marks in the drywall, the normal.
it's just life. All right, so you built your business, and I should give y'all a little perspective on Rachel selling 39 houses in her first year. You should know of the 1.5 million-ish realtors, and that's the members of the trade association, so you add on another 1.5 million non-realtors, so 3 million licensees roaming around the country, the average realtor, 6 transactions per year
Mhm.
of all those people. And so when you are talking 39, you are astronomically higher than the average realtor. And for those of y'all that are getting all spicy with me, I'm ready for your comments. I know that not everyone chooses a 39 transaction life, but I want there to be a good baseline of understanding of exactly how much of an outlier that makes you. And when you're an outlier, it makes you a target because your competitors get jealous. It
Yep,
can make you feel pretty uncertain because real estate is inherently an uncertain profession. So you can't help but say, this must be a fluke. It's never going to happen again. How do I protect myself from going back to my $15 an hour job? And there's nothing wrong with that job, but there's different risk and reward.
mhm.
So looking at the picture, I just want our audience to understand how much of an outlier you are. It's a big deal because y'all should also know that as we start talking about social media a little bit, most of the realtors you see on here might be inflating their numbers just a lot because they're not really selling as much as you think they are. They take one house and then turn it into 87 posts so that the public thinks they've sold 87 houses, but I digress. So I want you to talk a little bit. I know you have your 9-step program
Yeah.
and you can talk about your coaching offering as we get to the end of the episode, but I want to know the first thing, which platform was your launching pad, and is that still your favorite platform in the social media landscape?
Such a good question. Okay. So before I jump into that, I want to say the reason I shifted to social media from the knocking and open houses, because that was a sustainable business for me at the time. However, I decided I wanted to have babies. And I was like, if I am knocking 200 doors and doing 3 open houses a week, holding a newborn, that's not going to fly.
I
That's
know,
going to be
girl,
really
I think you would have converted a lot of people that were like, "You know
100%.
what? We gotta get this woman off the streets."
I was like door knocking in the rain. I was like, they're gonna feel sorry for me and sell their house. Like I was like, I had no shame in my game. Um, so I like in the beginning, I was obsessed with script practice. I was like, I know it's not sexy and I know that it's boring. However,
It
that's what
worked.
gave me the confidence. I didn't have the sales. I didn't have the numbers behind me to be like, oh yeah, I've sold this many houses. But I got obsessed with script practice and objection handlers and all the boring stuff that people don't want to do. But what happened is when I'm behind that door or I'm on that phone, like nobody could stop me because I was so excited. I was like, scripts are sexy once you make them your own, but you have to memorize them verbatim and then you get to put your twist on it. And so when I decided I wanted to do social, I was like, why does everyone think we're used car salesmen? Because I was 26 when I got in and everyone was like, you're slimy, you're used car salesman. I was like, why? It was because every realtor's like, look how many houses I sold. Look how much money I made. Look, it was all about them. And I was like, okay, so what if I go on social every freaking day. And I'm like, how can I add value to others? How can I make this about them? But what I realized is most realtors were talking about just real estate. And so I was like, I am going to come up with like 5 pillars, which we'll get into, but I'm like, I was going to come up with 5 things I'm passionate about. And I call them my pillars of content. And then I realized people might find me because I'm a realtor, but they're going to stick around because of who I am and how I make them feel. People don't realize like your social media actually has jack to do with you. It's all about what other people feel when they're on your content. Can you please just come live with me? Because you're so cute right now. You're cheerleading.
Like, I'm just like the amen corner over here because it's all what people need to hear. And
Yeah.
whoever's listening or watching this, please pause and rewind and listen to Rachel again, and then pause and rewind and listen to Rachel again, and pause and rewind and listen to Rachel again, because this is the key. You're
Yeah.
spitting out the key. Oh, and what does this cost people, Rachel? Oh, that's right. It doesn't cost
$38.99.
anything to you. Oh,
It's your time, which if you do it well, which I'll tell you how you can do it well on social, like you can time block around it so that social doesn't take your life. So to answer your question, I started on Facebook. It's 2012. Instagram wasn't super cool yet. So I don't even know if Instagram was around yet, to be honest. But I started on Facebook. MySpace was dead. So I started on Facebook and that's where my audience was. That's where my realtor partners around the country who send me referrals were that I could build relationships with, and my buyer and seller. And then when I got really comfortable with Facebook, I launched my Instagram channel, and then when I got really comfortable with that, I launched YouTube. I do have a podcast, but it's honestly, it's only if people don't want to see my face and they just want to hear my voice. And it's literally my YouTube videos just taken out, like repurposed. You could ignore the podcast. Watch yours. Yours is way better.
okay.
Uh,
That was the most undersold moment of a successful person ever, just for the record. So, nicely achieved.
Thank you. I'm not, the podcast isn't it for me. Go to Instagram and then YouTube. Those are the 2 that I would say are like my most favorite. However, I still get, I would say like 60% of my referrals come from Facebook because that is where, being 40, a lot of my demographic and older is still on Facebook. So what I do is I always post on Facebook first. If I'm doing a post, because I'm very wordy and you only get 2,200 characters on Instagram and I know they're going to cut me the frick off. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to do my post first on Facebook. Then I post on Instagram. When I'm doing a reel, I post on Instagram and they're linked.
Okay, so I'm going to have to ask a dumb question here. As a medium-aged person who has been on social media since 2005,
Yeah.
because I'm old, there's a 2,200 character limit on Instagram. Is
Yes,
that
ma'am.
I couldn't cut and paste from
Yeah.
my note?
Yeah. You'll paste it and then it's blank. It's because you have 2,200 characters. I'm in the character count thing all the time. I know. You're welcome. This
I didn't know
episode's
that
not
one, 'cause
worth it for you.
I wrote one really wordy post, because usually I'm pretty concise with the written stuff. I am not concise at all with spoken. But I wrote this really impactful beginning of the year post. It was so good, and I tried to cut and paste it. I'm like, Instagram's broken because it's
It
a
wouldn't let you. No, it's because it was more than 2,200 characters. You got to trim it down.
dang it. Okay, now I know. Thank you for
Sorry,
educating
friend.
me.
You're
I will
welcome.
not be as wordy. Carry on.
Okay. So yeah. So then what started to happen for me is I was like, I wanted to build a lead generation lever that I could turn on when I wanted to work and turn off when I didn't. And so I got really intentional with social media. And then I ended up creating this like 9-step social media model. And I've taught it all over the world. I've spoken in hundreds of places and thousands of people. And it's changed my entire life. And it changes it for realtors. It's like, I want everyone's business is unique to them. So it should be unique to you. And you'd like, if you don't like dialing, don't dial. If you don't like knocking, don't knock. But find, like, for me, I pick four legs to a lead generation chair because I feel like your business needs to have a strong foundation. I'm not just social media. I still have my database and 33 things I do throughout the year with my database. I work with a lot of investors and help them build their portfolio. I have my social media, and I have client events. Like I have my world of how I rock the business, but social media, it definitely is my biggest leg.
So can we just back up to before your 4 pillars? You said a word that is wildly important to anybody listening to or watching this episode thinking, I want to be like Rachel. You said you have to be intentional. Can we just talk briefly about the fact that this is the reason most people dip their toe in the social media water and it doesn't pan out because they lose sight of the fact that you must be intentional and consistent and disciplined. And so, talk about that for a second. Was that a lesson you learned the hard way, or you just organically the jumps into the pool without thinking twice person?
I think when I'm like stubbornly committed and I don't like to give up. So if I've decided that I'm going to commit to social media, I'm going to give it at least the 6 months it deserves. So same thing with door knocking. People were like, Rachel, I want to knock. And I'm like, go to YouTube. I have videos. I have scripts, go learn them. And then they text me. They'll message me on Instagram and they'll be like, you lie. You're a liar. And I'm like, okay, can you share more? And they're like, well, I went door knocking and I did not get a listing. I was like, okay, how many doors did you knock and how long did you do it for? They're like, well, twice. I'm like, cool. It took me 4 months to get my business going. So with social media, I think you just have to be really intentional that like you're committed to building a business, but more than that, building a brand, telling people who you are, what matters to you, what makes you tick, like why it makes you tick. I will never be that realtor that just like checks in at the hospital and posts it. Cause I'm like, that's dumb. That's not adding value to anybody. That's just having people be like, what's wrong? Like, I don't like that energy. I am like, I like to share something happening in my world that's meaningful. And then I like to ask a question. So I'm super intentional on like the way that I craft my posts when I'm doing a post, not a reel. So what you've heard of hooks, right? The thing that the scroll stopper that gets you like, ooh, what they say. Like all your podcast titles are good hooks. They're like, because you're scrolling through and you're like, do I care about that one? Yes. Do I care about that one? No. But when you find the hook that resonates with you, you're like, wait, let me see. So I got really intentional with making sure that my hook was at the very top. So even if I'm doing a post, whatever the topic of my post is going to be in the top in bold font. Then the body is whatever the post is about. And then the bottom is always a question. Because if you ask a question, you're more likely to have interaction. And I really want to get to know my people, my community on social, because people work with people they like. And they're so much more likely to send a referral to you if they have something in common with you than Joe Schmo off the internet who's tagged in a Facebook group because and then you get these cheerleaders around the world that are like, oh my God, you have to work with Rachel. She's so fun. She's a mama. She's this, she's that. And it's like, so I know my pillars of content. I know what I post about. And so that's where I say you start. If you're like, what do I even do on social? Like it's so overwhelming. I'm literally gonna tell you take pen to paper and write down 1 through 5. 5 things that you're passionate about in your world. One of them gets to be real estate. And then your other 4 is like what makes you tick, why I would hang out with you on the weekend. Like if you look at mine, you're going to see being a realtor and an entrepreneur. You're going to see me talk about being a wife and a mama because it's my favorite. You're going to see me talk about positive body image because it's something I've always struggled with. Recently lost 55 pounds in 7 months naturally. I finally figured it out, which I was so proud of. And now I'm pregnant again. So yay.
You lost a toddler, but you're gaining one.
Exactly. For real. And my littlest baby, Hayden, is like a football player body and he weighs more than his brother. So fun fact, my little 2 were born January 1st, 1 year apart to the day. Both January 1st babies, but my little one weighs more than my middle one.
Okay, so have you read Malcolm Gladwell's book, Outliers?
No.
Because he talks about the fact that if you look at the NHL, almost all the NHL players were born in January because of how hockey ages work in the system. So you actually might have hockey players. I think you're going to have to read Malcolm's book and figure out how to get them into an ice rink soon.
Sounds good. I'm into it. In California, that'll be easy peasy.
Northern California it is. Southern California, not so much.
Much.
You can run them up to Reno, no big deal. Tahoe.
It's just a skip away.
So if you're in real estate and you're listening to this podcast or watching it and thinking, man, I need some more Leigh Brown answers in my life. Well, guess what, friends? I have a new program that is launching right now called Answers.Real Estate, where I will give you every bit of insight I have to help you grow your real estate business, help you better respond to consumers, to provide a more excellent real estate experience so that the next time you land on crazy shit in real estate, you'll have a better solution to whatever you ran into. Answers.Real Estate. There are monthly plans available. You will love it. Get your coaching. Sign up with me today.
So 5 pillars, friends. So you want people to know what they can expect. So when they come to my platform, they're going to see me being a mama and a wife. They're going to see me being an entrepreneur. They're going to see me talk about postpartum health and fitness. They're going to see me talk about multiple streams of income because I'm passionate about it. Right. And like, they see who I am as a person. And like I said, they might find you because you're in real estate, but they stick around because of who you are and how you make them feel. And then I'm like, okay, well, what else about social? How do we make this work? Because most realtors were posting so another pillar or step that I talk about is like, how much you talk in real estate and how much you talk in personal. Well, 80% of what you post, friends, it's got to be personal. It's who you are. It's what makes you tick. It's why I'd be friends with you. Only 20% needs to be real estate. And what I found is most people have that flip-flopped.
Yes.
And they want you to think like, it is because it's like, cool, you're doing your job, but it's not who you are. Like, yeah, you sold a house. Your mama's going to like every post you made, but like, that is not why someone's going to, they don't see a Zillow review and be like, you know what? I'm going to give her a chance. It's like I'm big on storytelling. So like I have these examples all over my page of like when someone closes on a home, I always make them jump. I love making people jump for their closing photo. It's very hard though with my mother-in-law that was like 70 when she just bought a house. I was like, hey mama, we're going to jump. And she's like, okay, honey. I was like, okay, so your feet are still on the floor. I need you to like lift them off the ground. But
that episode of The Office where they were trying to take the team picture, like, Phyllis, we don't have that military grade camera.
I know. I miss The Office. Every time I have a baby, I just watch reruns of The Office or Friends in the hospital because I'm there for a few days every time. It's my tradition.
Because the day before, you know exactly how to milk that state as long as possible.
I'm in it. 3 days. Yeah, I'm in for all 3. Like, my left ear's ringing. It's weird. Can I stay? So anyways, oh my God.
How did you start the jumping photos for closing? Did you have a client who jumped, or was it a TikTok trend or something that you jumped into?
It wasn't a trend. I'm constantly watching for what I think would make good content. And I think high energy and happiness brings people to stop and see what it's about. So I was like, would you mind jumping? And so now everyone knows they're going to jump in my closing photos. So they're like prepared. And then I tell their story. And I always ask them, I said, like, do you mind if I share your story? And I get it in writing just because like people are crazy. And so I'm like, do you mind if I share your story? And so I asked them like, I take them on the journey from like the initial phone call all the way through the offer process, getting accepted, negotiation, closing. And people, like, I'm not joking you, I will post a story of someone closing. Like I just posted one about one of my friends that was renting and she was like, I don't know if I can qualify. We have to sell our home in order to purchase. Like, and I still cry. I'm such a crier. I cry all the time. Happy tears all the time. And sad tears too, but mostly happy tears. And I post it, I get a referral. It is like, because I'm helping people feel something. They're like, oh my gosh, I never thought, like literally the referral I got within 4 minutes of posting my last one was someone who said, oh my God, congratulations to Heather and Steve. I can't believe they just got their house. Like, that's so amazing. Rachel, I don't even know why I'm messaging you now, because in 10 years, I want to buy my dream property, but this farm was just posted. And like, we don't even know if we can qualify for it, but this is 10 years later. My plan was to buy a farm, but my dream is on the market. 6 weeks later, we closed on Ashley and TJ's and I got to post about it. So like, I think people are like, oh, I'm just going to post a Zillow review or just a picture. Share the story, because especially with the algorithm changes that just happened, I have a webinar coming up I'm doing on all the algorithm changes for 2025. But like, especially with all the algorithm changes, like storytelling and not selling is what counts right now. And so sharing the emotion and taking people on a journey, like that's what I try to do every single time I post, is I want to make people feel something. I want to build relationships on this platform. I'm not just here to like have you buy a freaking program. I want to like connect with you and know who you are and know what matters to you. That's why like my whole YouTube channel is based off what other people need in their business. I don't come up with the content. They do, because I'm like, let me help you build your business. Let's have a better quality of life. And like, I'm so passionate about the work-life balance piece, which is like, for most people on social, it takes their life away. But actually for Ryan and I, like he kind of called me out because he was like, listen, I love what you're doing, but if we're going to have a family, like you cannot be on this golden handcuff like all the time, you know? And I was like, I hear you. I do, but this is how I build my business. And he is like, right. So that's great. And we're going to need to find some boundaries around it. And I was like, oh God, like no one's ever said that to me before. And so we believe in being proactive in our marriage. We went to like pre-marriage retreat before we got married. So we went to a therapist, and I'm like, how do I do this where I still feel respected in the process and I can build my business, but he also feels okay with it? And so like what happened was we went to a pumpkin patch, and we went to the pumpkin patch with our babies, got there, you know, picked out the pumpkins, got some photos, and we got back in the car, and I was like, that was fun. And he goes, was it? And I was like, oh, why do you have that voice? Like, I don't like that. And he was like, babe, you weren't even present for it. Like, you were so focused on getting the content. Like, we're lucky we even got pumpkins. And it was like a dagger to my heart, because the last thing I want to do is disappoint my favorite person in the whole freaking world. Like, I'm obsessed with my husband, and like, we're always good. So when we're not good, like 2% of the time, my world is rocked. And so immediately I texted my therapist and I was like, hi, we need a session. And so what happened in that was, it was what I do now is I go to the pumpkin patch and I set just like I set an expectation with a buyer and a seller of what's going to happen when they work with me, not if, when. With him, I say, hey guys, to the kids too. I'm like, so we're going to get to the pumpkin patch. We're going to take photos for 10 minutes. Mommy needs some photos for 10 minutes. As soon as we're done, we get to pick out our pumpkins and have fun. I get my stories, I get my posts, my photos, and I put my phone away, and I'm present for the entire time. Then when it's appropriate to post, I then post it. Now, I did forget this last time that we went to the pumpkin patch. So like October was almost over, and I was like, crap, the pumpkin patch. And I posted it, and someone said to me, oh my God, Rachel, we just left. We just missed you. And I was like, dang it. But they don't realize they posted a month late. But what that did is it gave me permission to realize like people don't actually need to know what's happening in my life the moment it's happening. I get to choose when I post. I get to choose what I share and when I share it. Some people aren't comfortable sharing their kids. That is okay. You don't have to post your children's faces. You can post the back of their heads. Like, you can find a way. And with ChatGPT, if you're like, I need to post this post, but I'm not sure how to do it, can you tell me an image that I could post that would still get the point across without showing my kids? Done. Like, there is a way to do it that makes you feel comfortable. But now my family feels respected. Now my family feels like they're my number one priority, because they are. And so another thing, which I can jump in or not, but another thing is setting like healthy boundaries around when I'm on my phone has really been important for me too.
Please do talk about that, because I think in real estate, we're particularly guilty of thinking that we are so important to every client and every transaction that if we don't answer their text or their phone call, they're going to go away. And that's just not realistic. And neither is this idea that we have to be available in the little green dot on our social networks every second of every day. So I'd love for you to talk about that, because you are in the center of the social media storm and your business is built on it. So how do you build the guardrails that keep your business thriving, but also let you pay attention to your family and yourself?
So it's such a good question. And I think one of the things too is to understand how the algorithm actually works. So the algorithm, I like to think of it as like tools, right? So everyone's like, I want to beat the algorithm. And I'm like, okay, well, let's talk about what it actually is. It's who sees your content. It's what your content is. It's what you see and what they see, right? And your goal as a realtor to be in front of people. But if you're only talking about selling houses, that is boring. No one's going to want to follow you. They're going to unfollow you because they're like, oh, they're just about what they do. They're not, I don't even know who they are. Like, when I'm auditing someone's social media, the first thing I do is I audit their social, and I'm like, okay, let's optimize your bio so that the algorithm knows who you are. Like, your social media is your online business card, and you've got 2 seconds to grab their attention to see if you're somebody they'd actually want to follow. And so when I am using social media, I'm like, okay, so let's think of the algorithm like tools. You can make a post, you can comment on something, you can like something, you can do a reel, you can go live, right? Like you can send an audio message. I just named 6 different things. The way that the algorithm works is the more tools you use on the platform, the more eyes you're going to get on your content because you're using it well. And then the longer you stay on someone's platform, the more watch time you get, which 2025 is all about watch time. They're like, how long can someone stay on your platform? So you have to be creating this engaging content. So this is kind of my hack. So a couple pieces to this. I'm going to give you like 3 rules in one. We call it my rule of 555. So it's literally, you'll see people hashtag Rachel's rule of 555. So what I do is I want to prime the algorithm that I'm going to be making a post and they better get ready to send people to my page. So every single month, I take pen to paper. I'm still a paper girl. Like I'm all about technology, but I like pen to paper. So I will take 25 names. So every month I'm taking 25 names, and it's 25 names of people that I'm already friends with on social, but I'm not seeing their content. Because the rule is if you're not seeing them, they're not seeing you. There is a reason you see the same highlights, the same people's posts over and over and over, right? So what I do is I take 25 names of people that I'm already friends with. I'm not seeing your content. And I'm a theme person. So one month I'll go 25 realtors from around the country. The next month I'm like 25 past clients. The next month I'm like 25 local business owners, okay? And this is the rule of 555. So 5 minutes before you're going to make a post, you comment on 5 people's post, a comment of 5 words or more. Okay, so 5 minutes before you make a post, you comment on 5 people's post, a comment of 5 words or more. Who are those 5 people? They're from your list of your top 25. Because now when you make your post, your people who you actually want to see your content, the most likely people to give you a referral are the people who know, like, and trust you. But if they're not freaking seeing what you're doing, how do you stay top of mind, right? So you 555, then you make your post, then here's your boundary. So like for me in the morning, when I wake up a half hour before my kids, most of the time, sometimes they wake up in little stinkers, but I wake up 5 minutes. I wake up a half hour before my kids. I use an app called Google Keep. It's my favorite app. It's free. I prep my posts the night before, so I know what I'm going to be posting. I'm not like, what do I feel like this morning? Because I'm like a planner. So I will prep my post the night before. In the morning, I make my post, right? But first, before I do that, what I do, my 555. So wake up, 555, make my post. Then if I choose to, I can give myself some time to scroll. But in the morning, what I would do in the beginning is I'd wake up, grab my phone, and the first thing I do is I'm scrolling. And I'm like, oh my gosh, look at that mom that just made her kids handmade lunch. Look at that guy who just got off the treadmill. Good for you. And like, look at someone else who just like drank their green smoothie, and someone else who just sold their 100th house and it's March. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm already behind like you feel bad. First thing you do is you start to feel like you're behind. What a horrible way to wake up. So even setting boundaries there was prepping my post the night before. And for me, social media is a big way I build. So I'm like, if I can get my content out there first, I put my contribution out there. I did my lead gen in the morning. So like I put my 555, post it. Then this is the thing you do to wake up the algorithm and keep it jamming on the day. And you set boundaries. An hour after I post, I go in, I like, I comment, I engage with everyone. I use the tools. I tell the algorithm, I'm here, I'm doing this right. Give me more eyes on my content. And then it starts to push your content to the right people. And then for me, an hour before the end of the day, I go back in and I connect with everybody. And then I'm off social. Because when I get home from my family, like I used to walk in the door and I was on the phone and my kids are trying to hug me and tuck me. And I'm like, oh, your mommy's got to finish her call. It was the worst possible thing I could do for my family environment was to not shut it down before I walked in the door, and it started to affect things negatively. And so I nipped that in the bud real quick. So my husband and I have a rule that before I come home, actually 5 to 10 minutes before I come home, I stop my work calls because that's my car time is my call time, like every realtor on the planet. I stop my calls. I put on worship music. For me, that's my great equalizer. And I like need to just like connect with the Lord and then I feel better. And so I put on worship music. I calm myself and get the frenetic energy out of my body. I park my car. If I need to look on social to just double check stuff that I'm like good to disconnect, I will. I walk in the door and I'm mama and I'm a wife. And like those little shifts changed my whole world. And people might be like, but Rachel, what if someone sends you a referral on Facebook? You're going to miss it. If they sent me a referral, they want me and they can wait the 2 hours it takes for me to check my phone. Like if you call me right now, it's silent. Nobody will ring on my phone except for my husband, my mama, and my nanny. those are the 3 people who override the silent mode. And if that phone rings, and they know when I'm working. So if that phone rings, I will answer it because it's more important than a client I'm standing in front of.
And we need to drive that point home too. For the person who's watching this and listening to this, you're thinking, well, it's easy for you to turn your phone off, but I need a deal really bad. I'm just going to tell y'all something. As the mom of 2 kids that are now out of the house, you cannot go back to the little ages, and you will never, ever go look back and say, I'm glad I picked a transaction over my kids. That
Right.
money
No
will be
one.
gone, and their days are gone. If I could go back in time, there's so many things I would do better. So as the middle-aged mom here, high five. I commend you for fixing that while they're in that age where all they want to do is snuggle and they think you are the queen of the world and you're not extra. I'm extra now, so my kids don't even want to be near my social media because I'm embarrassing, and I've been that way for several years. But when they're little, you have a different opportunity with them. So y'all don't waste it. Don't squander life because of social media when you can actually get it under control. So Rachel, if they want to follow up with you and hear more about the full coaching offering, they say, I want to do the 555. I want to know the 9 steps and I want to know the 4 pillars. How do I become a student of Rachel? What is the best way for them to look you up and find out how they can sign up?
Yeah, I would love to hang out with you guys. Shocking. You're going to be, you can find me on social media. So if you go to Rachel Adams Leigh /Rachel Adams Leigh, I'm on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. It's all the same. Rachel is spelled Rachel. I think my favorite thing I get to do with people is I call it 50 pieces of content. So I will sit down with you and we'll audit your whole platform, and we will re-optimize your bio to actually suit the algorithm. And then we come up with 50 pieces of content specific to you and your pillars of content that I come up with the hooks. I give you the suggested photo, your call to action. Like, it's so freaking fun. I love it. Like, I love what social media has done for my world. I love that I could build businesses and speaking careers and all this stuff. I mean, same for you. Like, think about how much our reach has expanded and how many people we know because of this. Like, I mean, I found you because of social media. I think I saw you speak, though. I was at a convention and saw you speak like a couple years ago. And it's like it's like I meet you there, then I follow you on social, then I get to be part of your community, and I learned who you were, and I'm like, she's so funny and she's sassy, and I'm like it's like I want to be friends with you, right? Because you see people and you're like, oh, we actually would connect in real life. Like, how many people reach out to you and they're like, I would totally be your best friend if we met in real life, right?
A lot of them.
Name. But it's because we show who we are. We're not hiding it. I'm like, yeah, and I would like to tell you that I showered for you today. I had all the intentions of doing it, but when I looked in the mirror, I was like, good enough. And I just dry shampooed it and curled it, and I was like, we're going to call it, right? So it's like, I mean, I say it like I joke around about it all the time, but like I literally feel like I built this like $1 million business with dry shampoo because I'm like, I am who I am, and people work for people they like.
I mean, but what brand dry shampoo? Because obviously you should be an influencer for them now. Hello.
I know. I do use Monat because it's plant-based, and I like to try to be clean where I can, except right in the shower. But
you know what? My team, we'll tag them in, and let's see if we can't encourage them to sponsor not your podcast because you don't give a flip about it, but they can sponsor, and then you could give a free giveaway. But Rachel, I'm so excited because I'm going to be a client soon. I really want you to audit my social media because
I'm excited.
That's so much fun. And thank you for not just coming on the show and showing us what success can look like in an accessible way, but for also giving us practical ideas about what you offer as coaching. So many people just want to sell their stuff and never give away any secrets. And here you have so openly shared. And I thank you for being focused on making other people better, because that's the good side of real estate. And I'm so proud of you. So yay you, and keep growing that new baby, because we're all going to want to celebrate when we have
and we'll find out if it's a boy or girl. I'm like, what is your guess? Because 3 boys, supposedly there's a 6.25% chance that I'll have 4 boys. But I'm like, also, we only make boys.
I don't know. I'm an old Southern person. I have to look at how your belly's carrying, and you can't see that at 16 weeks. You carry it in the front. It's also, you have
no idea.
Your body's like, oh, this is what we do. We're pregnant. Poof. So,
I know. I was like, date you. I'm like, this is very hard to hide.
Forward. Girls go out. So if you start to carry to your sides with some saddlebags, you might have a girl.
I I mean, everyone's like, are you going to try for a girl? I was like, oh, I tried 3 times. We make boys. Like that's what I do. I wanted to recreate me, but so far God's like, not today, Sam. Not today.
Listen, I'll just tell you what we say as parents. When you have a boy, you have to worry about one penis. When you have a girl, you got to worry about all of them. So it's
I know. I always say I'm surrounded by penises, big ones, small ones. My husband's like, babe.
See, again, do not stalk her husband.
He's so cute. Okay, there's one last thing I forgot to tell you. Can I say it?
Yes.
This show's going to just be like the longest show in our history of the world. Okay, I'm rolling up my sleeves for this because it's so good and I forgot to tell you. So people are always asking me, how do you lead generate on social media? Like, how do you actually convert a friend or a follower to a lead, like to your next client? So I'm going to give you a script that I created. So most people, when they're trying to build a business on social, they focus on the comments. So like anyone who's commenting to me, like that's who I'm going to respond to. I actually think that your likes are a golden opportunity because there are these people that are looking, that are watching, that are like, hey, I see you, I see what you're doing, but no one pays attention to them. So what I do when I'm doing lead gen, so I can only lead gen for 2 hours in a block because my attention span is 2 hours. It's all I can give, right? Like all of us realtors were like, squirrel. So I, like right now I can see through my window and I saw an Amazon driver come and I was like, ooh, what did he deliver? So this whole time I'm talking to you, I'm like, is that a pair of shoes? Is it, the whole time.
It's diapers. What is it?
Totally. So, okay. So what I do is when I'm doing a lead gen block, so say that I make an anniversary post. Ryan and I just went to Tahoe and Katie likes my post and Bob comments on my post. Well, I'm obviously going to comment back to Bob because it's in my time block time. I'm like, thanks, Bob. We had a great time. Like, hope you're doing well. Katie liked my post. Katie is literally saying like, I see you, I'm watching what you're doing, but I don't know who Katie is. I don't have a connection with her. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Katie's page. I'm going to be proactive. I'm going to look at what's happening in her world. I'm going to look for a milestone. Maybe she just went to Hawaii with her husband. Maybe her daughter just graduated from kindergarten. So Katie likes my post. I'm going to send her a private message. So I'm going to DM Katie and I'm going to say, oh my gosh, Katie, thank you so much for connecting on my anniversary post. We had the best time in Tahoe. I saw your daughter just graduated from kindergarten. What a huge milestone for you guys. Do you have any plans coming up for the spring? I reached out to Katie super personally about something happening in her world. And what does that show? It shows that I care and that I'm paying attention. And what happens when I ask about Katie? She's going to ask about me. We're going to go back and forth, back and forth. We're going to have this natural conversation and connection. And it's all personal. I'm not like, Katie, you want to buy or sell a house? Like, no, because that's not what I'm about. No, God, don't be the person, the cold calling realtor. But what happens is I build this relationship. And when the transition's natural, say that Katie's a realtor in North Carolina, right? When the transition's natural, I'm going to say to her, gosh, Katie, I really feel like we aligned super well in our personal lives, which makes me think we'd align in our business lives as well. I don't have a great referral partner in North Carolina. Do you have one in Northern California? Boom. 100 referrals every year because I build a relationship with the people and I make it about them and what's happening in their world. And so that little script, I'm telling you, like changes the game. That's all.
Love that.
All right, we're going over time.
But the people that do likes are trying to be visible but not visible. So that's a wonderful tip there. And I had to get my reading glasses out and write it down because it's brilliant.
I love that you're writing. I'm writing too. Yeah. Sorry for taking longer, but I wanted to get that out. I feel like that was important.
Look, my audience is going to love it. And so y'all know your homework assignment. Say something about Rachel in the comments. You can ask a question. You can comment on her hair, talk about the baby. We don't care what you talk about. Just say something nice. But all of her contact information and links are in the show notes for this episode. So if you're looking for a way to get your social media driving in a predictable direction, this is your time to go ahead and take action. I'm so excited to have had you on the show. I feel like I've been at Clinic in California and I can't wait to interact again.
Yeah, me too. Thank you so much.
All right, guys, hit the bell, answer a question below, and I'll see you next time.
By the way, friends, don't miss my brand new coaching program at answers.realestate, where you can have access to Leigh Brown, submit your questions, have them answered, meet like-minded professionals, have an entire library to help you build your business no matter what happens in the market. Get signed up today. I promise you'll be glad you did. So if you found value in this episode, please like and subscribe to this channel, turn on the bell, and catch another amazing episode by clicking above. Crazy Shit in Real Estate is also available on all of your normal podcast apps. So if that's where you like to hang out, go find me, click subscribe. And most importantly, leave me a review that says you think I'm awesome, my guests are awesome, or this content is just exactly what you were looking for. And then, by the way, if there's something you need, you want to learn about something, you can comment below anytime. You can also send me a direct message if you need to remain anonymous. No judgment. But anyway, I'll only judge if you forget to subscribe and click. I'll see you next time.